Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live video. My name is May Doldalau, and I'm coming from yesfinanciallyfree.com, my blog. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I live in Waikiki, Hawaii, with my husband, Jamel, and our 7-year-old son, Jordan. But back in 2011, I was single, didn't have kids, and I had over $40,000 of credit card debts, okay? I own no property. Right now, we own 2 condos. This one is a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom Airbnb business down at the end of the street in Waikiki. But back, like I said, no property, $40,000 of credit card debts. But I paid it all off by 2016, improved our family's net worth by almost $500,000, making almost $500 a month. And I quit my job at a bank here, became a full-time mother. Part-time, I started coaching clients to do what I did. I have a free ebook for you, Working Parents Guide to Financial Freedom. So if you go to the blog, yesfinanciallyfree.com, put in your first name, email address, hit the big red yes button, you'll get that free ebook, Working Parents Guide to Financial Freedom, and you'll get on my email list where I send out these cool emails of when I'll be live, what I'll be talking about every day. Okay, so I sent one to my email list just now, so they know all the links and everything. So I would get on that email list, check out the blog. There's lots of free information. Also, if you want to check out my paid programs, they're in the products page. So let's begin. So this summer, as a summer project, I'm a full-time mother, and Jordan is home for school. So I have him all summer. So I changed my blogging schedule to reading very important books about financial freedom. So read with me. I've never read this book before. It is called Memoirs of Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds by Charles Mackay. Highly recommended by all financial, I'd say all financial professionals. I've seen quotes from it in many, many books by many renowned financial professionals, and it is highly recommended. So check out the ebook. Link is in my blog. It is a free ebook, and I'm going to be reading it every weekday at this time. So here I go. And it's 7:45 a.m. Hawaii time, which is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1:45 p.m. Eastern time. Here we go, guys. And just to do a little summary, there's a guy named John Law. He is a professional gambler. His father created a bank, I think, and then became wealthy, but he squandered all his father's wealth, became a professional gambler, got kicked out of his country for winning a duel and killing a man. And then he always wanted to start his own land bank. He met friends while gambling, and one of them was this guy who became high up in the French government and let him finally do a French land bank, which he did, made a lot of money. Then he created this company called Mississippi something, like to explore the United States, the Mississippi area, bring back riches, mine gold and silver. He never actually sent anyone there, but he started selling shares, and the shares of the company went so high that it became a bubble, and the bubble popped. So now we're talking about what happened after that. Okay. While this excitement lasted, Law took good care not to expose himself unguarded in the streets. Shut up in the apartments of the region, he was secure from all attack, and whenever he ventured abroad, it was either incognito or in one of the royal carriages with a powerful escort. An amusing anecdote is recorded of the destination in which he was held by the people, and the ill treatment he would have met had he fallen into their hands. A gentleman of the name of Bursell was passing in his carriage down the Rue de Saint Antoine when his farther progress was stayed by a hackney coach that had blocked the road. Monsieur Bursell's servant called impatiently to the hackney coachman to get out of the way, and on his refusal, struck him a blow in the face. A crowd was soon drawn together by the disturbance, and Monsieur Bursell got out of the carriage to restore order. The hackney coachman, imagining that he had now another assailant, bethought him of an expedient to rid himself of both, and called out so loudly as he was able, "Help, help, murder, murder! Here are Law and his servant, going to kill me! Help, help!" At this cry, the people came out of their shops, armed with sticks and other weapons, while the mob gathered sticks to inflict summary vengeance upon the supposed financier. Happily for Monsieur Purcell and his servant, the door of a church of the Jesuits stood wide open, and seeing the fearful odds against them, they rushed toward it with all speed. They reached the altar, pursued by the people, and would have been ill-treated even there if, finding the door open leading to the sacristy, they had not sprang through and closed it after them. The mob were then persuaded to leave the church by the alarmed and indignant priests, and finding Monsieur Purcell's carriage still in the streets, they vented their ill will against it and did considerable damage. My gosh, that's hilarious. 25 million secured on the municipal revenues of the city of Paris, bearing so low an interest as 2.5%, were not very popular among the large holders of Mississippi stock. The conversion of the securities was, therefore, a work of considerable difficulty, for many preferred to retain the falling paper of Law's company, in the hope that a favorable turn might take place. On the 15th of August, with a view to hasten the conversion, an edict was passed declaring that all notes for sums between 1,000 and 10,000 livres should not pass current, except for the purchase of annuities and bank accounts, or for the purchase of installments still due on the shares of the company. In October, following another edict was passed, depriving these notes of all value whatever after the month of November next ensuing. The management of the mint, the farming of the revenue, and all the other advantages and privileges of the India or Mississippi Company were taken from them, and they were reduced to mere private company. This was the death blow to the whole system, which had now got into the hands of its enemies. Law had lost all influence in the Council of Finance, and the company, being despoiled of its immunities, could no longer hold out the shadow of a prospect of being able to fulfill its engagements. All those suspected of illegal profits at the time the public delusion was at its height were sought out and immersed in heavy fines. It was previously ordered that a list of the original proprietors should be made out, and that such persons as to retain their shares should place them in deposit with the company, and that those who had neglected to complete the shares for which they had put their names should now purchase them of the company at the rate of 13,500 livres for each share of 500 livres. Rather than submit to pay this enormous sum for stock that was actually at a discount, the shareholders packed up all their portable effects and endeavored to find refuge in foreign countries. Orders were immediately issued to the authorities at the ports and frontiers to apprehend all travelers who sought to leave the kingdom, keep in custody until it was ascertained whether they had any plate or jewelry with them, or were concerned in the late stock jobbing. Against such few as escaped, the punishment of death was recorded, while the most arbitrary proceedings were instituted against those who remained. Law himself, in a moment of despair, determined to leave a country where his life was no longer secure. He had first only demanded permission to retire from Paris to one of his country seats, permission which the regent cheerfully granted. The latter was much affected at the unhappy turn affairs had taken, but his faith continued to move in the truth and efficacy of Law's financial system. His eyes were open to his own errors, and during the remaining years of his life, he constantly longed for an opportunity of again establishing the system upon a secure basis. At Law's last interview with the prince, he is reported to have said, "I confess that I have committed many faults. I committed them because I am a man, and all men are liable to error. But I declare to you most solemnly that none of them proceeded from wicked and or dishonest motives, that nothing of the kind will be found in the whole course of my conduct." 2 or 3 days after his departure, the regent sent him a very kind letter, permitting him to leave the kingdom whenever he pleased, and stating that he had ordered his passports to be made ready. He at the same time offered him any sum of money he might require. Law respectfully declined the money and set out for Brussels in a post-chaise belonging to Madame de Prie, the mistress of the Duke of Bourbon, escorted by 6 horse guards. From thence he proceeded to Venice, where he remained for some months, the object of the greatest curiosity of people, who believed him to be the possessor of an enormous wealth. No opinion, however, could be more erroneous. With more generosity than could have been expected from a man who during the greatest part of his life had been a professed gambler, he had refused to enrich himself at the expense of a ruined nation. During the height of the popular frenzy for Mississippi stock, he had never doubted the final success of his projects in making France the richest and most powerful nation of Europe. He invested all his gains in the purchase of landed property in France, a sure proof of his own belief in the stability of his schemes. He had hoarded no plate or jewelry, and sent no money, like the dishonest jobbers, to foreign countries. His all, with the exception of one diamond worth about 5,000 or 6,000 pounds sterling, was invested in French soil, and when he left that country, he left it almost a beggar. This fact alone ought to rescue his memory from the charge of knavery, so often and so unjustly brought against him. As soon as his departure was known, all his estates and his valuable library was confiscated. Among the rest, an annuity of 200,000 livres, 8,000 silver, on the livre of his wife and children, which had been purchased for 5 million of livres, was forfeited, notwithstanding that a special edict drawn up for the purpose in the days of his prosperity had expressly declared that it should never be confiscated for any case whatsoever. Great discontent existed among the people that Law had been suffered to escape. The mob in the parliament would have been pleased to have seen him hanged. The few who had not suffered by the commercial revolution rejoiced that the quack had left the country. But all those, and they were by far the most numerous class, whose fortunes were implicated, regretted that his intimate knowledge of the distress of the country and of the causes that had led to it had not been rendered more available in discovering a remedy. And I'm going to finish here. Usually I go over time. I'm not doing that today. So have a great day. We will continue on at page 42 tomorrow. Aloha. Thanks for being on today's live. And I appreciate you. Thanks for being a fan of Facebook. Definitely like the page, follow, and share. Aloha. And then if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I always have great content that'll help you become financially free. It helps me. And the results are clear with tracking your wealth, your net worth, your passive income. You can see the results for yourself as well. So check out the blog, yesfinanciallyfree.com, and have a great day. Aloha.